Edward Schuller is from the Teachers Professional Association of Queensland, an alternative to the Queensland Teachers Union. He's joining us now. This strike tomorrow, are any of your members going out, Edward, in support?
G'day, Gary. Thanks for having me on. A few of our members, look, we're advising that it's up to our members whether they're able to, whether they wish to or not. We've actually received a large spike in membership over the past week and a half since the strike action was announced, because a lot of teachers don't want to strike because they see the strike for what it is, which is an outright sham. It's a sham run by the QTU whenever an LNP government comes along. And it just doesn't stack up. I mean, for the last 12 years, the last 4 agreements the QTU have negotiated, real wages have gone nowhere for teachers, but they put on this charade. So they act like they're doing something for their membership base, but it's the same old. I mean, the teacher shortage crisis, the student behaviour, ideologies being pushed in classrooms, all of this has happened under their stewardship. So I know that you spoke to the Education Minister just before, and you say you know him well. I mean, this is partially a problem of his own doing because he's only able to negotiate with the QTU because the state government haven't made the necessary changes to allow competitive unionism in Queensland again. And I know that the Deputy Premier is very much on board with that, Jared Blay, and he's trying to get that done. But I just think this is a problem of Langbrook's own making, and I think that I guess he'll get what he gets with the QTU.
He was also trying, though, I think, to not prosecute a very emphatic argument one way or the other because they're in the middle of some sort of conciliation discussion. So I get it that things are sort of happening. He's trying to negotiate in good faith. So he wasn't going to get, my term, hairy-chested about any of this, Edward. So I get where he was at. But the trouble is, you're right, unions, the old unions in Queensland, they assert authority, don't they, over their members? It should be around the other way. Members should be running the unions, not unions running the members.
Well, 100%. And the finest example is tomorrow, all the teachers that are striking aren't getting paid. So it's about $1 million that comes off the Department of Education's bottom line, but all of the QTU exec are still getting paid. So the QTU have $50 million in assets. They get $30 million a year because of their ridiculous membership fees. Why aren't they covering the teachers that are striking tomorrow? It's a drop in the pond for them. But they're not because they care about the money more than their members.
So do you reckon all the teachers realise that they're going to have their pay docked for having the day off?
Yeah, they know, but there's an enormous amount of pressure going on to particularly QTU members. If you're a member, you're bombarded with emails, your organisers constantly telling you, make sure you're at this thing. There's there's reports of different organisers from, across regions of Queensland really tightening the screws and pushing people to be attending rallies and striking tomorrow, even if they're in regional schools and it's particularly difficult for them because there's only a handful of teachers in those schools. So otherwise the school would have to shut down, which the Minister said that he's working with the department to make sure that that's not happening. But yeah, I suppose that just a message for your listeners, I guess, is don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the QTU's narrative. This is a sham. It doesn't achieve anything. When they and the reality is, as the Minister said, it's gone to conciliation anyway. So the strike's not going to do anything. It went to conciliation in 2009, and the strike didn't do anything to change the final offer anyway. So it's all a big charade. The QTU are happy because they're getting, media attention. They're getting money from their members. But the only ones that lose out are actual teachers and parents and students whose results continue to plummet.
And it's interesting, Edward, the point you make, and it's a great point, and thank you for doing that, is that the union, the QTU, are the ones telling parents to keep their kids at home, but you've got the Education Minister saying, no, send your kids to school, we'll look after them. When this happened in 2009, only 3% of the kids stayed at home. I think they've been sending a message out there to, frankly, create the mayhem that is now in the minds of a lot of people. There's a strike on tomorrow, the kids have got to stay home. No, send them to school if you have to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it seems like a bit of a PR campaign for them. Again, you just ask, what did the strike achieve last time? What are you actually striking about this time? Because, again, the last 4 agreements the QTU have negotiated, pay rises have just kept up with inflation, only just. So real wages have gone nowhere for teachers. So I guess the QTU, they're mad, they're angry, they're upset. They should be angry and upset at themselves for the last 13 years of letting teachers down.
I reckon that it's pretty simple, isn't it? The QTU should actually pay the wages the teachers are losing tomorrow because they got the money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the coffers are full at the QTU, and while everyone else is doing it tough, I mean, like I said, real wages haven't really moved in over a decade, but that doesn't even take into account all of the cost of living that's gone up. So your grocery bills, energy bills, mortgages, rental payments, all of that has gone up as well. So the only ones that are better off 13 years into the future than they were 13 years ago are the QTU.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that are better off. And again, I think it's the least that they could do. If they genuinely mean what they say, they should put their money where their mouth is and pay to their members that are striking tomorrow because they've got the money. They've got the money, and it'll be telling what they do.
Interesting part, Edward, and I'll finish on this note, is the QTU are now putting out a statement saying they're grateful for community support as 50,000 teachers and school leaders take a stand. They want to thank the entire state for the overwhelming support in its fight to protect the quality of schools. 50,000 members striking without pay after the Crisafulli government failed to recognise the urgency of the serious issues. That's bollocks. I mean, let's face it. It is bollocks because it's into arbitration, it's already into conciliations, into discussions. This whole thing is, you're quite right, a complete facade. Let's call it for what it is. Total bulltish.
Yeah, it doesn't stack up, Gary. It doesn't stack up. And again, our proposals, as we set out in the Courier Mail earlier this morning that your readers might have been interested to read, we're advocating for a genuine pay rise, a 31% pay rise, which seems unrealistic. It seems outlandish, but the majority of that is made possible by restructuring the education system to no extra expense to the taxpayer. We know that, the governments don't have so much money to be throwing around, so we're saying we need to restructure Queensland Health, Queensland Education. We need to go local, and we desperately need to change the way that our education system works, and that won't happen so long as it's only the QTU that the government are dealing with, because they benefit from this system. So I guess if the minister's watching, or the deputy premiers are listening, rather, it's time for competitive unionism, and this is your greatest example.
Yeah, I think you're putting a good case. You're right. We should be paying the teachers first, not all the bureaucrats who control the teachers first. That's the problem. Okay, good point you make, Edward. I guess your membership will continue to swell, and keep us posted. Edward Schuller is from the Teachers Professional Association. They don't get a seat at the table, but they are representing more and more teachers as each day goes by. Jark says the whole thing doesn't smell right. It's like the teachers' union is Labor-aligned, much like the CFMEU. They are. Try the Railways Union. I mean, the teachers' union runs New South Wales. The teachers' union and the Railway Union runs Queensland, along with the CFMEU. And Jark says it doesn't seem right. They haven't gone on strike for 16 years, but bring in an LNP government, not even a year in, and they choose to do it now. The whole thing is a cunning little stunt.